All right, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another live stream. Could be, possibly, maybe. Let's see. So you guys know the drill. Once we have somebody join who can hear me, just let me know if we're good for audio. And got a holiday stream for you guys today. Maybe a little bit of an edgy one or a little bit of an edgy topic considering the time of the year, but we do have 1 week to Christmas, so I hope that you guys have got some of your Christmas shopping done. I was at the store an hour ago, and I was just getting some final things for the family, and there was people everywhere. It's like Sunday night. It's like I don't know. I had to get groceries too. This is my day off, so welcome, guys. Hope you like this one. So thanks for the verification. So we're going to tackle this one. I'll give you guys my take on this one. And it is, well, generally we're going to give some thoughts on Christianity and that we do have, Christmas coming up. It's the holidays, so I thought, oh, this would be a good one to stream. And a topic that from time to time in the streams people ask my thoughts on are whether or not I think that Jesus Christ actually was a real person, a historical Jesus. Was there actually a person alive on Earth, Earth realm or Earth planet, whatever you ascribe to, named Jesus Christ, or translation to Jesus? I think is how you say it. Jesus, something like that. I don't know. My Greek isn't perfect. Something along those lines. So we are now in the year 2022. Since the Christ, we are almost in 2023. So we have time of Christ. So we have to go way back. Okay, we got to go way back. Now it's tough enough, I'll say, to try to break down conspiracies currently that are ongoing in real life as they're unfolding. So that's hard enough as is, okay, to try to find the truth about things right now that are currently happening, present, and even the last few years. It's tricky, right? These are definitely hot topics. These are people. Everybody's got their own take. Everybody's got their own opinion. So these are always tricky. In this case, with respect to Jesus, the start of Christianity. And as we have Christmas coming up, December 25th, his birthday that we celebrate each year, which is, I feel like is kind of, somehow it's kind of been hijacked by Santa Claus a little bit, which I'm not a Santa Claus hater. Okay, I'm not a hater on old Saint Nick. I'm not a hater on Santa Claus, but it's supposed to be Jesus' birthday. We're supposed to be celebrating that. So I understand the stuff is cool, right? You got the chimney. You're like 5 years old. Your parents are telling you. Maybe I'll give you guys my Christmas experience story as I was younger. I was one of the kids. Spoiler warning, if you're not aware, Santa's not real. Okay, Santa. Okay, I know this for certain. Santa isn't real. Okay, in this video we're going to be tackling, was Jesus real? Sorry, kids. Earmuffs. If your parents haven't told you yet. So you do the thing when you're younger. They tell you Santa delivers your presents, and then at a certain age, maybe you're getting in trouble at school. There were some fights at school, right, on the playground, right? The 5-year-olds, the 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds. How old was I when there was fights on the schoolyard over Santa? I guess I was probably 7 or 8 when there was Santa Claus fights. You guys know the Santa Claus fights? So it occurs when, some kids at school believe in Santa, and the other kids at school, their parents didn't teach them the Santa thing, so they try to red pill the kids at school who believe in Santa, and usually fights ensue. Okay, so there have been some 7-year-olds throwing down over the Santa Claus question. Okay, I remember this specifically. I went to school, and there was a group of us who thought Santa was real, and there was a group of us who didn't think Santa was real. And a lot of them were foreigners and stuff, or their parents were foreigners. They weren't into it, so they didn't get it or whatever. They thought it was wrong to tell their kids Santa was real, and they hadn't seen their dad like getting changed in the room right before or the cookies and stuff before the stuff was there. Okay, so I also want to say as part of this video that I feel like Christmas has kind of been, I feel like Santa Claus is like counterintelligence against Christmas or against Jesus. So I just want to throw that in there somewhere because it's practical. It happens every year. It's a thing. It's big in advertising. It's all over the place. Santa's everywhere. And I really feel like he is kind of like a pagan sort of a character, North Pole, all this stuff, to replace Jesus on Christmas. We're supposed to be kind of celebrating. Dustin says they're both real. So there, okay, Santa is real. And don't you tell me, we're going to have, it's a good thing that we are not in close proximity, my dudes, because fist fights do ensue when you tackle these kind of questions, okay? Fist fights be had. Okay, so anyway, that's the school. So then the teachers had to come in and be like, it's okay, everybody. You know, the female teachers, right? They gotta smooth the waters, right? Santa's real for them. If it's not real for you, that's okay. And I go home and I'm like, Mom and Dad, like, what is this? These idiots at school are telling me Santa's not real. What the hell's going on here? And then my mom and dad look at each other and I'm like, what? It's a conspiracy. What's going on here? I want answers, damn it. This is like 8-year-old Trev, right? 8-year-old Trev is pounding the table. I demand to know the truth, right? I want to know the truth. Is Santa Claus real or is he not real? I demand to know. You give me answers, damn you. You give me answers. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to try to give you guys answers for Jesus. I'm going to try. Okay, all right. Okay, I know. It's tough. Okay, couple thousand years. Hundreds of books, maybe thousands of books written about this. So we got a few books that are important here. I'm sweating a bit, but we got the Holy Bible. This is the King James Version. I'm sorry, it's the version we have at our house. We got a few copies of this, and I've been kind of clawing through it quite a bit to try to get down to the bottom of this, give you guys my adult take on, okay, so where should we, I guess, start with this with respect to Christianity and how the whole thing kind of formed? Who was important at the time? Who were the key players at the time of Christ that were involved that may have either created the character, so created him, or was he actually a real person? And this is one that you can look up on Google if you want to, and you can look up the historicity of Jesus. Now, this is one that's also debated quite a bit. Was he actually a man? Did he actually walk the earth? And was he crucified? Or the zeitgeist addendum kind of proposed idea that he is a physical manifestation of the Son, or the Spirit of the Son. And so the reason why December 25th would be his birthday, or, rising again, is because in the Northern Hemisphere, this is according to kind of the zeitgeist idea, the sun, and there's other gods too that's birthdays were the 25th. It's an important day because it's the day in the Northern Hemisphere where the sun on a cross, southern cross, I believe. So the sun stops moving down in the sky day by day, and it has a symbolic kind of rebirth. So as you go through the year, the sun in its cycle in the Northern Hemisphere starts to lower, then it stops at a point and it starts to rise again. So December 25th, I think, is the day when the 22nd, how many days here? 22nd, 23rd, 24th, and then the 25th, it starts to move back up again in the sky in the Northern Hemisphere as the years go through. I believe that's part of their argument. Now, the other things in Zeitgeist Addendum, which are pretty good, that they go for is they bring up a lot of prior gods like Krishna and Mithras, and even prior to that, there have been a lot of different gods. Now, Jesus is kind of like a hybrid, sort of, in some ways. And as I've been investigating this, reading the Bible, hearing a lot of different people's, opinions on this. I have another book here, which is good, which we'll get into later. This is by David Fedler, and this is Jesus Christ, Son of God. Okay, so there you have it there, Jesus Christ, Son of God. So in this book, it basically supposes that Jesus is like a newer god, or a god of the last couple thousand years, following up after, you have Egypt and the many different gods there. You have the different Greek gods. You have Apollo and a lot of the others. A lot of them will have kind of the halo for the sun kind of behind their head, kind of shining. Most pictures of Jesus, if we go over here for a second, you always see at the top the halo behind the head, right, which is kind of like symbolic of the sun, or they would say like the crown of thorns, right, which is like the sun's rays shooting off of Jesus. So Jesus is like the spirit of the sun. So this is what they kind of say. Now, some people say that there are not that many historical proofs of Jesus outside of the Gospels or outside of the Bible. But if you look at the works of Josephus, there's others as well too, not just him. Josephus, who was a historian for Rome, and that was part of the Flavians. So Josephus with the Flavians. I think he became a Flavian, actually. I think Josephus was he Jewish, I think, and then he was kind of taken in by the Flavians as part of like the Roman kind of elite, the Roman kind of ruling class, I guess you could say. And he does have some quotes. He did refer to Jesus as a historical person. Also, during that time in Judea, there's the character, or the person, I suppose, if you believe the historicity of Pontius Pilate, right? Pontius Pilate. And I would say his name wrong. Pontius Pilate. Yeah. So he was the governor at that time in Judea when Jesus was sort of, I almost want to say, he wasn't even really tried. It kind of feels like when you read Matthew and you read the Gospels, he basically asks him if he's king of the Jews, and Jesus responds, "Thou sayest," like as if it doesn't really say much, and then the crowd, which is I guess would be the Jews, basically demand that he be crucified. And so so Pontius Pilate is kind of like, as far as the New Testament goes and the story of Jesus goes, he's like almost like a villain in the story, the governor, right? He's like Walking Dead, we have the governor, right? it's like the villain in the story. So Pontius Pilate kind of hears the crowd out, and they basically say to crucify Jesus, right? So then they basically, and then he kind of checks again, and then they say, yeah, to crucify him. So yeah, so that's what happened. But now Pontius Pilate, in the historical record, according to Josephus, in the official historical record, was actually the governor of Judea at that time, I believe. And feel free to correct me if I get anything incorrect here in the in the comments. You guys can send through. It's real-time chat, so you can send that through. So Pontius Pilate was actually the governor in that location at that time, according to the historical record. There's also people like Phliny the Younger, who refers to, let's see, I've got the quote here somewhere. So you have Josephus, who confirms in the historical record the crucifixion of the Christ in that location as sort of tried, if you want to call it a trial, what have you. It's kind of like a primitive, maybe, version of a trial, not that much to it. Trial by zombified a crowd, trial by the masses, I guess, or whoever's in and around, right? So who refer to him. So Josephus verifies the crucifixion, that it occurred. The Pontius Pilate was the governor at that time in the location, okay? And there are references also to John the Baptist outside of the Bible. So outside of the Bible and just the Gospels, in the historical record, some of the other people that were involved with Christ in the beginning of Christianity, that were in the story, right, in the New Testament, were historical people, were actual people on earth. Okay, so the actual governor in that location at that time was Pontius Pilate. So he was actually there. Okay, he was a real person, right? So far as we know. Now, if you want to go past that and you want to argue and you want to say that Josephus did it, that's why maybe like some of the other theories that are thrown out here is that when you count down with the New Testament, so you've got Matthew, that, so if you go to, let's see, where did we get it to? Okay, so if you go to Matthew 1:16, and Jacob begot Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom was born Jesus, who is called Christ. So if you want to say that maybe Josephus created Jesus and put it in the historical record, along with the Flavians, which I think there's some writers, some authors that have proposed that the Flavians basically, through Josephus, the Flavians created this character. If you want to say that, then you have to say that they had the power, the ability to actually put it in the historical record themselves. So I don't know. It's really tricky because you're going back so far. But here's the things that stand out to me as important with respect to whether or not Jesus actually existed. The people in the location were actual people. So they weren't just like, if you're going to make up a story, or a story is going to be just fabricated, right? Like something like Walking Dead, right? You're going to create a Rick Grimes. You're going to create your Daryl in TV series. You're going to create these different characters, okay? All the characters in Walking Dead are fictional, though, right? When it comes to the New Testament, when it comes to the story of Jesus, the other people involved, at least some of them, and again, all this is arguable, right? People want to argue kind of indefinitely for this. The people were actually there during the time of Christ. So the governor was actually Pontius Pilate. He was actually there. He was a real person, not just a fictional character in a story like the governor in The Walking Dead. So let's go governor. You go governor Pontius Pilate, governor played by David Morrissey in The Walking Dead, who's also a villain, right? So I don't know if maybe Kirkman and the others, maybe they were inspired a bit by the New Testament, maybe, and in him, creating Walking Dead. Maybe, I don't know. You'd have to ask him. But Pontius Pilate was actually the governor in the location that Jesus would have been at that time. And there is a record of the crucifixion of the Christ, or however you want to refer to him as. So as Pontius asked him, like, are you the one? Are you Jesus, King of the Jews, the one they call the Christ? Something along these lines. So you have in the Gospels, you have different accounts of Jesus's time, and there are some other stories here which could be like allegorical, right? You could look at them and say that these are allegorical for the cosmology, for the ancient cosmology, which is what this one proposes. And maybe we'll get into the numerology with respect to Jesus after, as the triple eights. You can convert his name. We'll go through and do the numerology in that. But basically what I'm saying is the people in the story, I shouldn't say characters, because the people in the story were real people, right? Jesus was a real person in the story. Okay, so I accept and I think that after looking through all this and hearing both sides quite a bit, right, going through all this, my take on it at current time is Jesus Christ was a historical person, was an actual person who actually did walk the earth. He was actually crucified according to the historical record. And again, if you want to say that even that is effed with and Josephus made it up or something, okay. But there was others as well too, and there was his followers, and many of them were also, as you had the growth of Christianity, a lot of them would have been persecuted, maybe put to the torch, also crucified if they didn't denounce Jesus, and many of them would not, so they were also killed along with him afterwards. So it's sort of like, the way I look at it is Christianity was kind of this, it doesn't feel to me from the story like this was a top-down creation or something like that. It does feel like it was very grassroots, or it was very the beginning. You could look at Jesus as a rebellious person, or as a wise man, as Josephus refers to him as a teacher, as a spiritually enlightened man who went around and was, spreading love and peace and harmony and all these things. And he gained too much of a following, it seems like. The Jews who were there didn't like him, right? There was too much heat. He got maybe too big, right? And you see this in real life too, even nowadays, right? You see when somebody gets too much notoriety, they get too big for their, their shackles, I guess. And the higher ups start to notice, like they'd be like, oh, what the F's going on over here, right? What's this person? This person is not in line with what, the Roman higher ups want, the elite ruling class of Rome, the Caesars, and the Jews as well too. During this time, there was also a lot of strife because you had the Jews where they were kind of like trying to kind of rebel or do their own thing. And there was a lot of wars around here. Before that, you had the other JC. You had Julius Caesar. So there are even some books written that propose that maybe Jesus Christ, your JC, and Julius Caesar, JC. Julius Caesar, just before the time of Christ, was assassinated by Brutus and many of the others, like where you get Brutus and the others. There was a plot to assassinate Caesar, Julius, and it worked. They actually did. They stabbed him to death, right? So you have that. You have the Flavians in and around that time, Josephus, and the birth, the creation of this new kind of thing that was maybe disruptive and probably has always kind of been disruptive, I think, to the power structure. I see Christianity as kind of always being disruptive to any matrix that you put it in, because Christians are difficult to deal with. You can't buy us off. You can't buy Christians off because we're not, some of us you can buy off. Some of us you can't. But a lot of us, the fanatical Christians, okay, so they, just like Jesus, right? The fanatical ones who won't back down on it. That what does the matrix do? What does the system do? You can't buy them off. They don't want your gold. They don't want your money. They want your shekels. You can't, they don't really intimidate that well either. It's difficult to shut them up because they tend to tell others, and then it becomes a martyr situation, and which is exactly what happened with Jesus, right? Where maybe they did crucify him, or they did, but whether or not he rose afterwards is up to you. Maybe you want to say that that's part of the mythos, that he did not rise afterwards and he did die. Or maybe you want to go that after he was crucified, he didn't exactly die during the crucifixion and he survived it somehow, right? Father, why hath thou forsaken me? I don't know. Maybe there's divine intervention there. Maybe there isn't. That's up to you how you want to look at it. But Christians are difficult to deal with. You can't buy them off, really. They're difficult to intimidate. They spread peace and love, and they're upright and honest, right? So they tell the truth too much, right? So that's a problem. And a lot of us are really, really nice. So here's another problem that comes about with it, is that we end up, and we we tend to kind of spread and be fruitful and multiply. We multiply. So eventually it might come a time when, somebody, a lot of people would be converted. So a lot of people, I think, that maybe were Jews in and around that time, in that location, Judea and elsewhere, a lot of them may have over time become Christians as well, right? They join in. So the way I look at it is it kind of spread like wildfire. Now, the elite in Rome may have decided that we should let this go because maybe it gives the Jews their Messiah or something like this. Maybe they thought that would be a good idea to put it in the books, because it's also tricky that if something is very anti-establishment, a lot of times the establishment will book burn it. So they'll erase it or they'll get rid of it and it won't propagate. But if that must not be the case with Christianity, because it got out there anyway and has, even to this day, billions of people who still are Christian. If you ask them the question about Jesus, everybody basically has respect for Jesus, even the Muslims and others that think that he was maybe a prophet, and that's basically what it was. Son of God, but maybe they view us all as children of God, right? Because if we're in God's creation and we're in a created realm or a created system, then we are all God's children, right? So not just him, but all of us are, which depends how you want to look at it. You get into the Trinity and all that stuff with the Father, the Son, so him being Son of God. So it kind of so to answer simply, yes, I think Jesus was a real person. I do think Jesus existed. I do think he walked the earth. Sometimes I doubt myself on it because I'll read books like this and I'll think like, okay, there's some numerology there. There's some cosmology that, sounds interesting. But that could have been added afterwards. It could have been the followers, and most likely it probably would have been, the followers of Christianity afterwards that maybe brought some of those things in. Also, his name has kind of like, you look at Jesus, translating into English to Jesus as we refer to him now. So, so I think he was a real person. Now, whether or not he came back from being dead, so he zombied, he came back to life, he risen. Maybe not. Maybe that part is an embellishment. Maybe he didn't. Maybe it was a symbolic risen, right? That a couple thousand years later now, we'd still be talking about this person that was put to death and refused to compromise, right? And so that's why I think, like, in a lot of ways, Christianity is a disruptive force, because the way that I think that they probably dealt with it is I think that the elites and the elite ruling class have basically used it. They've had to kind of infiltrate it, right, rather than smash it, right? If they try to smash it and, put everybody on crosses who are followers of Jesus or burn them all or whatever, that doesn't seem to work. What ends up happening is there's too many of them, and you end up having to kill way too many people, and it starts getting really ugly. So you kind of have to let it go. So I think the way that they've kind of managed it over time is to infiltrate, to serpent into the churches, take control of the people in the churches that they can buy off, and they won't be able to buy off everybody, but certainly some of them they will be able to buy off, people who are not like, or maybe people who just kind of go along with it or think they have to for whatever reason, and then will be able to steer it from there. So with respect to war and stuff like that, which is, it's tricky because it depends on how you view, how your beliefs, how you view, the Bible and your belief set, whether or not you think, going to war is okay, joining military is okay or not. I don't know. There are certain verses in it as well which would make you, obey government, trust your government, all that kind of stuff as well too. So obviously, it's Christianity has grown into this massive juggernaut after his time, but I do think that he was a real person, at least to start with. Maybe he's been kind of deified and given attributes that he didn't have, or the story's been embellished or whatnot. So I kind of view him as sort of like a god in a way, but Jesus is kind of like a hybrid god. He's sort of like a halfway. He's interesting because he's not exactly like a lot of your older gods, which are not mortal, right? Who maybe Zeus and a lot of the other Greek gods, or Thor, for a lot of you guys, like Norse Thor, because maybe you like the Marvel stuff, right? So Thor is a Norse god, right? Isn't he? I believe so. God of thunder. So, that's like somebody where he's not immortal, he's just a god. Jesus is an interesting hybrid because Jesus is a historical man, was a historical man that would not compromise no matter what, and was put to death, and then, kind of this build of a mythos around him afterwards. So whether or not his birthday even was actually December 25th, maybe it wasn't. Maybe that wasn't his birthday. Maybe they didn't know, so they chose that as a day for its significance with respect to the sun and for it to be an important day for us to celebrate his birth. Virgin birth, all that kind of stuff, I don't know. Who knows, right? Like, maybe not. Maybe that's part of the mythos that built up around Jesus afterwards from Christians following him and kind of building him into, like I said, halfway, where he's not God, but he's like in between, right? So he's not exactly a mortal person either. In real life, he may have been just a mortal man, but maybe spiritually that doesn't take away from his significance, that he's kind of a symbol, at least for me, of somebody that just would not be, wouldn't back down, basically. So they crucify him, right? And that's what it is. So, so we'll go through some of this. Yeah, so we got Kev, who says definitely not his birthday. So, yeah, again, some of the dates, they may not have known. It's difficult to get information from a dead guy. Let's put it that way. It's difficult, right? But isn't that the system, though, too, right? That when the system, and even modern day is the same thing, right? People, even in modern day, too, if somebody's a real pain in the ass in real life also, the system has a way of, they seem to have a bad time. Let's put it that way. They seem to have accidents, or they seem to have suicidal tendencies, let's say. Okay. Right, like the bad things seem to happen to them, right? Okay, I don't know why that might be. I don't know. So yeah, but I've got some good stuff here. So that's up to you. I'm just saying, for me, I believe Jesus the Christ, was a real person. The one they call Christ was a man. Maybe he was just this like really, rebellious kind of, guy that just wouldn't, was going to spread his message and wouldn't be shut up and wouldn't be shot down and nothing. And then the people, some of the Jews that were there were like, this guy's got to go. Like, this guy is just too much. And he's converting our people to his religion, and this is getting to be too crazy. So we got to shut this guy up. So that's the way I kind of look at it as, and that's what they did, and they failed miserably, because in crucifying him and doing that, it just spread even more. So it didn't work at all. So they were not able, if they wanted to press the red button, the red button on the wall with a lot of the power brokers have. If you're not aware of this, I'll tell you what they have. So they have this button on their walls, okay? And it's like a red button. And under the button, it just says, shut it down. And so when something happens or somebody really becomes a problem, they just press the red button sometimes. They just shut it down, okay? They just press that button, okay? This Jesus guy's becoming a pain in the ass. Somebody press the red button, okay? So that's it. And so that's it. I'm trolling. I don't know. I'm not trolling. I'm not trolling. It happens all the time that regimes get pissed off, and even if he is the actual Son of God, if you're not born into a particular family or a particular lineage that has a lot of money and has resources and stuff, it's difficult to get any message across that you may want to get across. If you're an everyman or you're just a regular person, like, Jesus, I guess, I think he was just from like a regular family. He wasn't like a noble, or he wasn't like from a dynasty. He wasn't from one of these elitist type of, bloodlines or something. If you want to, spread a message and you're of a regular working class type regular person, it's very difficult, because you may bump into stuff that, like nowadays we got the WEF and places like that where they're working on all this stuff. They got all this messaging and green stuff and all the stuff they're doing. If you're a disruptive force and you come in and you start converting people in masses to your deal, yeah, the higher up's going to get pissed off. Even if God did send someone down who just happened to be of a lesser birth, it might end the same way. That might be exactly what happens, because the person might have advanced, spiritual understanding and an ability to convert people and create something new, create Christianity or create a new movement, right? And what happens? The elites are like, we're working on all this stuff, and this person is being really disruptive. Get rid of them, right? And that's what it is. So if you're not, even if you were special and sent down by the divine, if you're not born into the right section, it's very difficult, because other people have agendas, they have stuff they're working on that you might bang into, and so they may decide like it's best to just get rid of this person because they're too disruptive to what we're trying to do and what we're trying to build, right? This person's spreading peace and love and all this stuff. This is not, we don't want this. We got, Ukraine, we got all this stuff going on. This is not good, right? Our soldiers keep dropping out, right? They keep telling us no, and they keep telling us to pray and love each other, and they give us kisses and stuff, and they don't want to fight. And all. This is a big problem. So, yeah, it's the opposite. So I've got some slides. We'll come to your guys' comments afterwards. Let's see. Who asked here if Jesus was resurrected? I mean, who the hell knows, right? Like, who the hell knows? Like, how I have no way of knowing whether or not that is the thing. I suspect it's part of the mythos that was built up around him afterwards, but there's a lot of possibilities. Maybe he didn't die. Maybe his followers helped him somehow. Maybe they were able to do something. Maybe they were able to, maybe the person who speared him and everything else that happened. I don't know. You think blood loss would kill anybody after a little while being up there. But who knows, man? I really don't know. Maybe he did just die, and the risen is a spiritual risen. It's like he survived. We're talking about him 2,000 years later. At what point do we acknowledge that people can survive in a different way aside from just physically, right? Like, you can just physically be there as a person with your physical being, but is it a symbolic survival that you, of a regular working class type birth, are being talked about 2,000 years later? Is that a form of survival? Does that count as a form of immortality or survival? Do you view it that way, or do you see it as like a literal translation that he actually zombied, or that somehow he managed to survive it? There's other ideas, like maybe he had one of his followers impersonate him and take the crucifixion for him or something. There's different ideas like this. You're a couple thousand years away from the event. I mean, how could you ever say what exactly happened 2,000 years later? I can't even tell you exactly what happened 2 years ago, and almost it's like what happened in 2020? Huh? What happened with this guy? What's going on with that guy? I can't even tell you exactly all the details 2 years ago. You want to go back 2,000 years and then some and try to say exactly the specifics? I mean, you have to acknowledge that there's some things you just can't know. But if you go based on maybe numerology and cosmology, maybe that was part of the mythos that was built up around him afterwards, that they tried to kill him, or maybe they did kill him. They tried to kill Christianity, and it didn't work. It survived. So maybe you could look at it that way. It's up to you how you want to look at it. Thanks for the super chat there, HFG. So HFG said, I appreciate this, Trev. You always keep things interesting on your channel. Thank you, HFG. I thought it was a good topic. So what I'm kind of saying is, I'm saying that Jesus as a man, historically, it seems like he did exist. It seems like he did as an actual man. But as far as the miracles and everything else, that could just be part of the mythos that was built up around him. So afterwards is what I'm basically saying. We can get into some of that. So I'm kind of agreeing. I'm fence sitting is what I'm doing, sort of. And I'm not doing that to be, to appease. I'm doing that because I think that that's correct. I think he did, but I think that maybe some of the miracles and the things about him were embellishments, so were embellished. Also, I think, I haven't really talked much about my thoughts on the Bible as a whole. There's some amazing stuff in the Bible, absolutely. I don't think it's perfect, though. I don't think it's a perfect, document, or it was, if the whole thing was, ordained by God or something like this, or, written perfectly through messaging from God, something like this. I don't think so. I think it's also been edited, translated and edited many, many times. This is the King James Version. So, it's always, when it comes to documents, they're always going to be approved at the top, right? They're always going to be approved. There may have been things that the churches would have changed for their own reasons, that the ruling class may have changed. King James Version. So King James in his The people that worked on it, they would have, I'm sure, edited a lot of things out. Differences in translation, differences in phrasing things, different interpretations, right? And like here we got contents and stuff. So Old Testament, New Testament. I love Genesis. I think Genesis is incredible. Some of it, like Genesis is really good to read back, I think. Really, really good. New Testament, I do enjoy, but it's a sad kind of story too, right? It's a sacrifice type of situation. Some people think that there's kind of blood ritual sacrifice aspects to it. That whole thing. That's up to you. Anyone? Why don't I ask you guys your favorite verse from the Bible? I often will reference Psalms 19:1. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament proveth His handiwork. That's a good one. Any of you guys have a favorite Bible verse that you like for one reason or another, and why? Let's see if you guys can throw one in there. And then we'll take a look at some of the stuff that we got for Christianity to kind of go through, and we'll get into your guys' questions afterwards. Let's also look at the numerology of Jesus as well too, because this is pretty good. This one is by David Fedler, Jesus Christ, Son of God, and he sort of proposes that Jesus is the spirit of the Son. So we talked about this just previously in a recent stream, which is that a lot of the different gods that we have are based on cosmology, or based on the above. So, you have, for example, Venus. A lot of times will be viewed as goddess of love. So kind of a loving spirit coming from Venus. Saturn and Saturnian worship. So that's kind of like a darker spirit, a Setian or a satanic type spirit coming from Saturn. So this book is basically saying that Jesus is like the spiritual archetype as a character for the Son. Now that may have been created after the man, but I do think Christianity is kind of special in some ways in that you actually have a person, you actually have a man who existed on earth that this religion is based on, and somebody who was so incorruptible, according to the accounts anyway, that he was just he wouldn't say what they wanted him to say in order to get out of the crucifixion, right? So there's that. Okay, so let's take a look. He goes into the miraculous feeding of the 5,000 and other mysteries of the New Testament. So maybe we should explain what mysteries are. So like the Christian mysteries. So mysteries are usually, let me give you a basic answer to this. So if you're creating a story, or you're creating a religion, or you're creating something, often you want to base it on something. So a lot of the gods that humanity's had over time is based around the above. It's based around the heavens above, sky clock, the planets, the solar system, if you're heliocentrist, the sun, the moon, the stars, the constellations, the zodiac, okay? So a lot of the different gods are based on that. But David here also, in this book, also brings up that a lot of the prior gods, and he goes through them, like Mythos, for example, are based around numerology too, where Mythos, in the spelling, and I think it was Greek, converts in numerology to 365. And you guys all know the significance of the number 365. So that's the days of the year, the solar cycle or our calendar, right? So that's where the name. So if you convert in numerology for Mythos, from English, for example, A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, and so on and so forth throughout the alphabet. If you add up the letters of the name and you add them, you'll get a number. So Mythos in its spelling converts to 365. So that's part of why that would be encoded so the mysteries are like a way of creating gods or a story which is based on something prior, like numerology or the stars, the planets, the sun. So he's basically, in this book, which you can buy if you want, it's on Amazon. It's a good book. He goes into a lot of the different numerology and music as well too that's used here. So Jesus is 888. So that is Jesus's number. And we'll get into the hierarchy of the numbers, which is what he proposes is used for Jesus. So maybe I'll show this to you and we'll go through some of the slides. So he proposes that Jesus Christ, I know it's not the best for video, but Jesus Christ is the solar logos. And on this side here, we'll go to some sites afterwards for this. So the base for Jesus's base number, according to him, is in what he calls the solar hierarchy, is 74. Okay, so the base number for Jesus is 74. And if you go for his, okay, let me hide this here. We go over here. So in gematria, if you're looking at gematria, right here, Jesus converts in gematria to 74 right here in ordinal. So if you type in, A, we got 1, B, we got 2, AB, 1 plus 2 is 3. Okay? You do it for all the letters. So for Jesus, you get 74 in ordinal. Now, why that's important is because in Jesus's hierarchy are some key numbers, one of which is 888. So you have Jesus, which is 888, and you have Christ, or Christos, which is 1,480, all which are multiples of 74. Okay? So, and Jesus Christ is 2,368, also a multiple of 74. And so there is a website you can go to if you want to see for this. So this is a good way of looking at it right here. Let me show you this image right here for the mysteries and an understanding of Jesus as the 888. Jesus as the 888. So this, in his solar hierarchy, if the base number in English is 74, all multiples of 74 will rise as part of the hierarchy of 74. Okay? So 74 would be the base, and 74 times 12 is 888, which is Jesus as you convert it from letters to numbers. Christ is also a multiple of 74. It's 20 times 74, which is 1,480. And Jesus Christ, the combination of both, is 2,368, which is also a multiple of 74. So basically what he's proposing is that 74 is the base number right here in the hierarchy, and as you go through the multiples of it, right here, down here, you get the 888, which is Jesus, and down here you get Christ, which is 1480, which are all multiples of 74. So you get your base 74, which is Jesus in English, and you extend that as multiples, so 74 times 1, 74 times 2, 74 times 3, 74 times 4. As you go up all the way, you get 888, 888, Jesus 888, 888, which is the spiritual sun or the solar logos, which is kind of like a way that if people think Jesus is a created God, then or hybrid, half like man, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, like Holy Ghost, if you look at him as a hybrid God, okay, or as a spirit of the Son, then his numerology would be 74 as a hierarchy and 888 as the number for Jesus, which is what, if you do the gematria on Jesus in the language, I think it's Greek or Aramaic, I guess Greek it would be, Jesus is 888, and Christ is 1480, and Jesus Christ is 2368. All are multiples of 74. So all are multiples of 74 in the hierarchy. So it's a little bit interesting. I still think that Jesus was a real person that actually did walk the earth. Was his name spelling changed? Maybe. Did Josephus have anything to do with that? Maybe. But you're going so far back, it's hard to say. So he also goes 888 significance. 8's also the Ouroboros, or like infinity. So in numerology, 8 is an infinity because it just goes around forever, right? And it also is for 888 for the whole tone in music. So the complete or the fullness tone, which could be viewed as, like in terms of a godly way, as a fullness of spirit or as a fullness of life essence, as an inner light. So different ways of looking at light. So you have the sun, which, shines its light to warm and to, give us all what we need, sustenance, so we can have plants and food and animals and eventually, higher up people. So the kind of light we're sort of thinking of for Jesus as the spiritual sun is a spiritual inner light, like consciousness, like an inner light of life, of animation. So in the difference between a robot, where it's just inanimate and just kind of robots along, where a robot can, you could program a robot to speak, to play music, to maybe dance. Boston Dynamics is doing like robot, Terminators and stuff that can shoot people and stuff. But because they're not biological and they're not of the creation, they don't have an inner light. They don't have an inner essence of spirit, of spiritual essence. They're just robots, right? So they're dead in that way. They're Setian, you could say. So in terms of light and dark, the robots, in their essence, whatever they can do, as amazing as it can be and whatever it is, it lacks a life essence to it. It lacks an inner light. So that's kind of when you hear of sort of like the concept of Jesus as a solar logos or a solar light, right? And other gods as well too, if you worship. No disrespect to people who worship, or used to worship Mythos or any of the others. I don't know, Thor. Do a lot of you guys really like the Thor movies and really think that Chris Hemsworth is really awesome or something? I don't know. Whatever it is. But so it's sort of like, the concept of Jesus as the spiritual sun behind the sun. So he's in ways where you start to get to a point where words have difficulty describing what you mean, an inner life essence light that illuminates the person and gives it, real life essence. Okay, so like a child, like a newborn, different from a machine, which is just cold and dark and doesn't possess. Even if it tries to fake it, you could make some, machines that have facial, whatever. But describing as solar logos or describing as inner light, a fake, synth, NPC, we could say, which sort of describes a little bit, because for an NPC, like if you look at a human in some ways as an NPC or as robotic, when someone says they're NPC-like or they're robotic, it sort of feels like they're missing a spark of life essence under their being that they're just not broadcasting to you. You're looking at them and you're trying to get a life. You're almost trying to get a light from them that seems dim, that seems like it's almost not there. It's almost robot mode, right? And then, robots totally not possessing that light or spark of creation whatsoever. So let's take a look at some of the different sites, and then we'll go through your guys' comments afterwards. If you guys have seen Zeitgeist Addendum, that's kind of part of what I'm sort of going towards, which is the concept that, Jesus is a created figure based on the sun. So that's fine. So that's kind of what I'll give you for that. Now let's take a look at some of the sites, and then we'll get into your guys' comments afterwards. Kev Bo wants to read John verse 1. All right, Kev Bo, we could probably do that. Let's see. John 4:64. Okay. From the New Testament, you're saying? Okay, let's see. John verse 1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Let's read a couple more. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. Thanks for calling that one out. That's just what we were discussing here, right? And the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehend it not. It's just different, right? Like it's just different between spiritual life essence and dull, bleak darkness, right? It's just different. Yeah, that's a great. I love it. Really, really good. Okay, so let's go through that. So we went through the hierarchy of Jesus, right? All right, so Christianity. Christianity is the largest world religion by number of followers. Around 2.4 billion members of their religion are called Christians. Christians generally believe Jesus Christ to be the Son of God, the second person of the Trinity, in an Abrahamic monotheistic religion, meaning it has only one God. So, it has roots in Judaism. It is based on the life and teachings of Jesus. To most of the people of this time, Jesus was a preacher, a teacher, a healer, a prophet from ancient Judea. However, his disciples believe him to be much more than that. They believe that Jesus was God's one and only Son who was sent down to earth to die on a cross for their sins. Or I personally put the onus of responsibility on the people who decided to kill him, not on anyone else's sins, but for the people who were there at that time. The man said to be his father, Joseph, or virgin birth, whatever you want to look at, was a carpenter. Jesus was executed by being nailed to a cross and crucified under Pontius Pilate, the local Roman governor at the time. His life and followers are written about in the New Testament, part of the Bible. Christians consider the Bible, both the Old Testament and New Testament, as sacred. The Gospels, or the Good News, are the first 4 books of the New Testament and are about the life of Jesus, his death, and him rising from the dead. God created the world. Jesus is the name of God the Son. Christians believe him to be the Son of God. They believe that he was the human son of the Virgin Mary and divine Son of God. They believed he suffered and died to free humans from their sin and was later raised from the dead. He then went up to heaven. At the end of time, Jesus will come. Okay, so some of the people that are most devout actually think that Jesus will come back to earth to judge all mankind, both alive and dead, giving everlasting life to those who believe in him. The Holy Spirit in the Spirit of God on earth that spoke through prophets. Okay. And we have the banner, of course, the cross symbol for Christianity. So it's almost like a section of people at this point, right? It's pretty much what it comes down to. So there's that one. And let's see, what else we got here? So Jesus Christ, most basic part of Christianity is the belief in Jesus as the Son of God and Messiah. Christ, the title Messiah, comes from the Hebrew word meaning anointed one. Yeah, so fulfillment of prophecies of the Old Testament. Christian belief in the Messiah is much different than contemporary Jewish concepts. So, yeah. So that one, death and resurrection, I think we covered a bit, right? That's part of, the death and resurrection is up to you. I leave that completely up to you guys, what your thoughts are on that. Whether or not he actually was able to do that or not. That's your choice there as far as how you want to view that. But you can't deny the effect that this man had on humanity and on the world. Can we say that he's probably the most important person to have ever lived? One of the most important people to have ever lived, for sure. That's not arguable, I don't think. The fish, Jesus' fish, right? And the cross, different symbols, Alpha and Omega. Good stuff, Christian cross, and in that. His story. Christianity has had a large history from the time of Jesus and his apostles to the present time. Christianity began in the 1st century AD as a Jewish sect, but quickly spread throughout the Greco-Roman world. Although it was originally persecuted under the Roman Empire, that's right, and a lot of Christians were killed. Just for, again, it's a disruptive, I don't view it as a top-down creation. I view it as it was a disruptive movement that, it doesn't seem to me that it was advantageous for it at the beginning, but later it just became the state religion. Maybe the higher-ups decided at that time that it made sense to do that. To a degree, you have to give the market what the market wants. And if you try to deny it completely, it'll be difficult and maybe untenable to shoot down after a point. There's where you have sort of a trial or what have you with Pontius. We got Santa versus Jesus here in this one, which I like. We got, what are you carrying? And Santa's got many gifts for everyone. And then we have Jesus, I only carry one, but it's enough for everyone. I like that one. Flavius Josephus, very important, because he is your non-biblical account, if you view him as honest, of Jesus existing as an actual person. Okay, so one of them anyway. He's not the only one, but he's very important for that. So whatever you think of that. What Josephus said about Jesus, right? I'll read it because the chat's kind of covering it. At this time, there was a wise man who was called Jesus, and his conduct was good, and he was known to be virtuous, and many people from among the Jews and the other nations became his disciples. Pilate condemned him to be crucified and to die, and those who had become his disciples did not abandon his discipleship. So that makes me think that Josephus's take on it, I believe, is that Jesus did die, he was crucified, and his spirit lived on through his disciples and spread to an unbelievable amount over time. So that's so that's sort of the way he describes it anyway. Tacitus connects Jesus to his execution by Pontius Pilate. Another account of Jesus appears in the Annals of the Imperial Rome, a 1st century history of Roman Empire, written around 116 after death by the Roman senator and historian Tacitus. In chronicling the burning of Rome in 64 AD, was that around Nero's time, I think, Tacitus mentions that Emperor Nero falsely blamed, quote, the persons commonly called Christians who were hated for their enormities. They always hate Christians. They always Christus, the founder of the name, was put to death by Pontius Pilate, procurator of Judea in the reign of Tiberius. So there's another reference to a existing historical. I'll hide the text box. There's another reference to a historical, Jesus and his followers. And it doesn't say that he was resurrected, but it does say that he was crucified. But it didn't work. It didn't work to crucify him and stop the movement, I'd say. As a Roman historian, Tacitus did not have any Christian biases. It doesn't sound like they really liked them. So I don't think he was really biased. It sounds like in my mind, there was a disagreement or a rivalry between them and a misunderstanding. Like this couldn't understand so well. In his discussion of the persecution of Christians by Nero, says Ehrman, just about everything he says coincides from a completely different point of view by a Roman author disdainful of Christians and their superstition. So that's like, I would say that's like the rising from the dead, that whole thing, water to wine, the whole fish, all the different things that are said about him. With what the New Testament itself says, Jesus was executed by the governor of Judea, Pontius Pilate, who was the governor at the time, I added that part, for crimes against the state, and a religious movement of his followers sprang up in his wake. So in other words, it backfired. They should not have crucified him. They should have just left him. Because by crucifying him, You just made him a martyr, and the biggest one that history has ever known. Additional Roman texts reference Jesus shortly before Tacitus penned his account of Jesus. Roman governor Phliny the Younger wrote to Emperor Trajan that early Christians would sing hymns to Christ as to a god, so like a god, even though he's not even, Christians don't view him as a god. Like I said, best case scenario, he's an in-between, not necessarily a god by himself, right? He didn't have godly power or anything like that. He wasn't able to stop them from killing him when they decided they were going to do it. Some scholars also believe that Roman historian Suetonius references Jesus in noting that Emperor Claudius had expelled Jews from Rome who were, quote, making constant disturbances at the instigation of Christus. So, so Ehrman says the collection of snippets from non-Christian sources may not impact much information about the life of Jesus, quote, but it is useful for realizing that Jesus was known by historians who had reason to look into the matter. No one thought he was made up. You guys see that there at the bottom left? No one thought he was made up. So it's not my position. My position is not that he was just made up entirely. He may have been, maybe embellished to an extent, right? To an unbelievable extent. Here's a nice rendition of Jesus and Pontius deciding what to do with him, and just the, people get pissed off. When you give them something new and they're used to their ways, whether they're Jews or not or whatever, they get pissed off when you challenge them, right? You're creating something new. You're challenging their belief set, and what do? They get pissed off. That's what they do. And then we have the cross, and that's it. Josepheus' description of Jesus, 63. Now there was about this time Jesus, a wise man, if it be lawful to call him a man. For he was a doer of wonderful works, a teacher of such men as received the truth with pleasure. He drew over to him both many Jews. See, again, you're converting members of their deal. They're not going to like you. You're taking from them. You're taking their brothers, their sisters, their daughters, their sons. They're joining you and they're leaving. The Jews don't like that, obviously, because you're bringing them into you. They're leaving and they're coming to you. They're switching teams, so to speak. And, a lot of the powerful Jews would not like it. And many of the Gentiles as well. Yeah, so both alike, another rendition of Pontius. And I think this would be Jesus at the right in this one. It might be cut off by that look. But and according to Wikipedia, did Josephus really mention Jesus? Basically, 2 references to Jesus of Nazareth and 1 reference to John the Baptist. So not just to Jesus of Nazareth, but also to other people in the time, John the Baptist as well. So not just Jesus, but also the others too. Pontius Pilate, John the Baptist. Yeah, they were real people. And there's, I think, a rendition of Pontius, right? I think, who really is not that much of a bad guy. He was really just doing what the mob demanded him to do, kind of. It doesn't seem from the description like he really wanted to put him to death, but that's what happened. So, and that is the end of my prepped stuff that we got of Jesus, the one they call Christ. So we got some other stuff, and then we'll go straight into your guys's comments and go through them. But there is numerical value, as I mentioned before, in the book we were looking at, of the name Jesus and the name or the number 888. So Jesus being the 888. So here we have Jesus, Christ, Christos, and it converts to 888, and Christ converts to 1480. Add them together, you get 2368, which are all multiples of 74 as the base number. So for encoding, if you want to say that maybe the name attributed to him was, changed slightly or something. That part is your choice. That part is up to you. So there we have that. And there's a cool site you can check out. It's got some different interpretations of numerology. So that's Bible, Menorah, You can find it on Google. Just search for Jesus 888, and you'll find that there. So there's that one. Good site. Again, the Greek letters and stuff is difficult, but you can just understand it from an English perspective that that Jesus with the number 74 and 888 as part of the hierarchy of 74, and Christ as part of the hierarchy of 74. So there we have it. Okay, let's see. Different references we went over that. Jesus 8880 is a good site you can check out if you're interested in the gematria about Jesus. Let me hide the chat box again so you can see. Jesus8880.com is the site, and it's got a lot of stuff that that possibly, the mysteries of Christianity could be built part of it on numerology. And again, that's up to you if you want to look through that and see if that resonates with you, see if that some of them make sense to you, not just Jesus with 74 to 888s, and Christ to 1480. John the Baptist is also a 74. John the Baptist is 2220, which is 74 times 30. So John the Baptist is also a multiple of 74. And Son of Man is as well. The raised Jesus is also 8880. So that's, that part is up to you. I'm of the idea that maybe the spelling was adjusted for it after a while, and so they kind of took the story and they built upon it. They built the Christian religion based upon it. But I see it as a hybrid because, Jesus himself was a historical figure, so far as I can tell anyway. So historicity of Jesus and that as well. And then we went over this one, right? Phliny the Younger and his reference to Christians and worship Jesus. Okay, so that one. The Flavians. Okay, so some people who think he was made up, part of the Flavians and Josepheus, they blame, if you watch Caesar's Messiah, there's a documentary which is known as Caesar's Messiah, and it basically, I think it's Joseph Atwill or maybe some others too, but Caesar's Messiah, and it basically, brings up the concept that the Flavians may have, created Christianity somehow to try to appease the Jews or, control them or something along these lines. So there's that. And I don't think we need to watch historical, I've got this video here, historical evidence for Yeshua, Jesus, Jesus, but I think we went over that pretty damn well. And this one is kind of about religion. This is like part of the zeitgeist. I'll just mute it for now. Got Jordan Maxwell in here talking about religion a little bit, the sun, and then this kind of goes through and sort of, looks at Horus and Set, so light and darkness fighting each other, and, the sun winning during the day, Set or the moon winning at night, what Christians might call like Christ versus Satan or the opposite, light and darkness, that kind of thing. So, and there are others that are born on the 25th as well too. So I suspect that even though I believe Jesus was a real person, there are a lot of other gods, like Krishna here, for example, which is born a virgin, star in the east, perform miracles. A lot of this is very common for, different deities. Dionysus, born a virgin, born December 25th, perform miracles. So, like I said, King of Kings referred to Dionysus as Alpha and Omega. So similar to what you find in Christianity, resurrected, all this thing. Mithra, born a virgin, born December 25th, 12 disciples. I think that's for the zodiac or the constellations around the sun. So you have the sun and the 12 signs of the zodiac and constellations. Perform miracles, dead for 3 days, resurrected. So again, I'm kind of viewing it as like Christianity, a hybrid religion. Parts of it were probably embellished, like a lot of the stuff here, like the birthday and everything like that. But if you don't know when a man's date is, and he's already dead, his birth date is, and maybe you could ask maybe you could ask, or maybe it was lost to time. This was a time of strife as well too, so you don't know exactly. You're going to give it a date. Maybe you go with something similar to what other gods before him have been dated by. So, and he also, like, Jesus himself is not exactly a god. Again, he's like a hybrid. He's like a halfway. So he's human, but then also, so he's a human, but he's also kind of godly or son of God. So this part explains December, as I mentioned before. You have December 22nd with the movement of the sun, and then the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, the sun in the northern hemisphere stops, southern cross, okay? So the cross, and then the 25th, it's born again, or it starts to rise. Instead of going down further, it starts to rise because of the way the cycle is, right? In the cycle. Yeah, so that's cool. So that's the way I attribute it. That's my take on it for you guys. So it's a little bit of both in the middle. I do think some of it is definitely embellished, okay, and based on cosmology. I think maybe the name is edited to fit with 888s and to fit with the mysteries of 74 and the way it was created. But I also think that Jesus himself was an actual person. Whether his name was spelt a little differently, or maybe his birthday was different, maybe his age was not quite right. I think that they did. So yeah, okay. So that's zeitgeist and that part, because that's quite the popular kind of movie that's been out there on the internet for a long time, which does do a good job of showing that a lot of different deities are similar, have similarities, okay? Maybe they're encoded, their stories are encoded in a way based on numerology, based on cosmos above. Particularly the birthday is of interest, right? And some of the other things too. Resurrected, similar with many of the others, everything else. So again, that may or may not be, be the case, right? Like have actually happened. That's what I'm saying. So I think that makes sense, right? So it's what you got. All right. So fallen number doesn't like zeitgeist. He says completely wrong. So that's fine. No problem. I'm not disagreeing with you or anything, but I'm saying that the Bible has a basis because it is based on a real person that did exist, that was alive. Was it, is it an exact recounting? Was he actually resurrected? Okay, maybe not. Whatever. That's up to you how you want to view that. Yeah. So good stuff. Okay, let's take a look at what you guys have had to say. That's most of my presentation to give you my take on it. It's just my take on it. All right. I think I try to do a good job of seeing both sides of the story for people who are for and are against that whole thing. I don't denounce the possible sun worship that's involved in the creation of the story, possibly the encoding of the story, but I also don't denounce the historical record that all the people involved were actual people there at that time. Maybe some of the names of the apostles and disciples, okay, maybe they're, maybe not, maybe it could be different, whatever. It's up to you. There was a lot of people who followed it. So, yeah, so that's it. So that's what we got. Boo says Jesus is king, so I love it. Good stuff, man. Blade says Walking Dead comic Jesus versus TV show Jesus, which is better? I'll go with real Jesus as being the best. But also too, like, I think this is a good video to do because we are talking about the most important, one of the most important people that have ever walked the earth, right? So it's worth doing at least one discussionary, topic on it without trying to piss off too many people. Yeah, so that's where we're at with that. But TV series, the comic version was better, Blade, just to say. So, sorry, Corey, that your grandmother died at 102, 100. But celebrate, Corey, because 102 years old is amazing, dude. I wish that all of us could live to be 102. Celebrate her life. Celebrate her 102 years. That's awesome, dude. Not a sad day. It should be a happy day, because to live to be 102, unreal, unbelievable, right? So that's a long life, man. That's really good. Thanks, JSpot51 for the super chat earlier, and he said, look up the State TV show and Jesus Christ. Yeah, yep. Robert Frank said Austin 316 is my favorite. Yeah. Those T-shirts were big back then. Sam wants to do John 3:16. Okay, what is John 3:16? I don't think I've ever looked that up. Okay, John 3:16. We got to go to 464. Just give me 1 second. We'll do John 3:16. 464. Okay, we got John, and I'm at 1, 2, and I'm at 1, 2. Just a sec. 3. Okay, 3:16. Okay, here it is. Here's John 3:16. For God sent not his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. That's a good one. Let's read it again. For God, who so loved the world... Oh, no, that was 17. I fucked that up. Sorry, just a minute. Oh, sorry, my language. John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. I'll read it one more time. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. So that's John 3:16. That's a great one, for sure. Okay, what else did you dudes say here? And Merry Christmas to all you guys, by the way. Have a very Merry Christmas. Sam says, Father Gabriel needs to show up now. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I have been enjoying the stream. Carpenter, Sam Jemez said from earlier, yep. Let's see. Jalon Teamer, that's another thing. If someone were born Muslim or were they never hear about the religion, they automatically go to hell. Yeah, I don't think so, Jalon. I think that's a control. I think that's a control structure measure, right? Because I think there are parts of all religions that I think are always kind of approved from the top to control the populace, right? So they'd say, like, okay, you can have your religion mostly, but we're going to have to put control measures in. So that might have been like a control measure by the church to sort of lock people in. So they say, well, if you don't believe it, you go to hell or something, right? Something like that. I do view that as kind of like a mind trick control measure, sort of to try to lock you in. I'm not a fan of it because of that technique. I'm not a fan of that technique because it sort of restricts somebody from being able to go and study different things that they might want to learn, right? And or worship or study. Like for me personally, you know, I'm a bit of a Ponos worshiper. So Ponos is the Greek god of labor, of hard work and toil. So he's actually not supposed to be a good god, but I view him in a positive light, Ponos, which is because I sort of worship labor in some ways. I think that labor is very important as a man to your psychological well-being. I think labor is very, very important. Whether it's, you know, at your job, whether it's starting a second, you know, maybe getting a second job or starting a business, or even in working out, even in weightlifting or exercising or when you're working on things. I think that effort is very important, and I view it as a positive thing, as work as a positive thing. So I'm a little bit of a Ponos worshiper in that way, that I worship labor to a degree. I work, I go to work, I appreciate work, I have gratitude for work, and I don't shy away from it in favor of just trying to get investment return or something, which I do that also, but I'm, you know, very big on work and on doing that. So I don't personally prescribe to the idea that you should be locked in to one religion or one system as a control metric or control set to lock in your mind, and if you don't believe it or agree with it, you're going to go to hell or something. I think that these are things that have been put into a lot of religions to lock in their people, so they don't lose them. Which again is if you lose people that are part of your parish or your group, then you weaken in power, right? So the more followers you have, the more power your movement has. If you lose people as part of your movement, then you weaken, which was probably part of the reason why the Jews wanted Christ crucified, and why he was asked, "Are you king of the Jews?" A lot of people, a lot of the Jews would get mad, and they'd say, "He's not our king, whatever, he's doing this stuff and doing that. We don't agree with it, get rid of him." They don't like to lose what they have. So I view, if you don't do this, if you don't do that, if you don't believe, you'll go to hell. I view all of that as, any other gods before me, all this kind of stuff, not viewing, because anything you put in energy into, or you hold with reverence, is like a form of worship in a way. So like with me, the way I kind of worship labor and I worship hard work, there's a lot of benefit to being a bit of a worshiper of hard work and of extra hours and labor, because if you do that, it's more likely that it's probably more likely that you'll get a good mate. If you make more money, you have more access to, finding a wife, even if you're short or whatever. Women select, for example, for height, for example. So if you're 5'3" or 5'2", it can be difficult sometimes to find somebody if you're really short as a male. But if you look at labor as something sacred and really appreciate and really love and be a bit of a worshiper as far as labor goes, and not shy away from work like so many people in the West do. They're kind of lazy. They don't want to work. They don't want to do, so they want to try to find a sneaky kind of way to make money without having to do much or something. If you just get rid of all of that and you see work as something that is sacred, it's more likely that you'll be a success in your life. It's more likely that you'll be able to find a wife or a partner, and it's more likely that you're going to be able to propagate your genes on forward to the next generation, right? So even if you're 5'2" or something, which could be difficult. I don't know. I'm 6 foot, but I don't know. I'm just saying. Not much you can do about it. You could wear boots, or you could wear risers, like really thick boots or something. Just get a couple extra inches of height for you short guys. It's a trick, right? It's a trick. So yeah, but I see a lot of that as control structure, ways to control the people who are your followers and to keep them locked in so they don't, look at no other gods but this one, and kind of lock them in and not really let them out. So yeah, is what it is. It's like, if you look at the churches, for example, as like a corporation almost, a lot of them, they have, people are going to give them, they're going to, be kind and give them money and everything like that and pay for them. It's like a corporation almost too. You don't need that to study religions. You don't need to necessarily go to church, in my mind, to study the Bible. You can interpret it your way yourself with your own, path to enlightenment in the way that you want to do it. You don't have to go to, your institutionalized religion and just do exactly what they tell you. If you want to look at numerology and things like that are connected with some of these different gods and, religions, then you have the ability to do that. If you join an institutionalized religion, then or church or what have you, a lot of times they're gonna try to control you as well too. Maybe even as far as like I know a lot of people that are in the churches and stuff, they'll meet like their wife there. They'll have like almost an arranged marriage, sort of like, oh, your son should go with this girl from over here. And maybe that's okay, maybe not. It's up to you what you want to do. But I'm not a fan of restriction based on religion. For most things, with some things that are good, like some of the commandments and stuff, which will help you in your life if you abide by them, I think, for most people. Okay, what else do we get here? Diana Rainey says you can't keep Moses down. Nice. MGM Lioness says that's why it's called faith, to believe. Yeah. Rick Sanchez Jr., they had defibrillators back then. Yeah. Nice, Rick. Kevin Evans says absolutely, even secular historians would insist. Only those outside mainstream would even suggest that Jesus wasn't an actual person. Okay, Kevin Evans, examine the Shroud of Turin. I highly recommend. I have not seen that, Kevin, but I can take a look. Michael Lindstrand, have you found any historians say they witnessed his resurrection? Yeah, again, I don't think there are any that say that he actually came back. The story kind of fizzles out after that, sort of. If you look at the Gospels and stuff, there's not that much to it. It just kind of is like, continues onward in that. So, with continuing. So, I don't know. I don't think that there's any mainstream historians that I'm aware of that say that that confirm the resurrection part. That part might be part of the mythos around him, or the religion, yeah. And the last line of the King James Bible, 21. Let's see, Revelation 22:21. The grace of our Lord Jesus Christ be with you all. Amen. The end. So yeah, Amen, 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 Ra. Michael Lindstrand, have you? Oh yeah, so we did yours. Okay, it's fascinating, but hoping it's not fake, says San Jimenez. I don't think so. As a whole, I wouldn't say it's fake. I just think that maybe it's a bit embellished, and that's what it is. Kevbo 7733, Isaiah 53 describes Jesus' death by crucifixion 600 years before crucifixion was even invented. Coincidence? Maybe. So Kevbo might think that Josephus created Jesus, and that's okay if that's what you think. That's up to you. See if I can find Isaiah 308. Okay, so page 308, Isaiah. You want to look at? All right, Isaiah, and you were looking for Isaiah 53. Says Kevbo. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 53. Just a minute. 1 minute. I got to find his line that he wants. You want me to read the whole? I don't want to read the whole thing, but Isaiah 53. Who hath believed our report, and to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed? For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, and as a root of dry ground. He hath no form nor comeliness, and when he shall see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him. Which part are you referring to of 53? He shall see the travail of his soul, and he shall be satisfied by his knowledge. And shall my righteous servant justify many, for he shall bear their iniquities. I don't see what you're referring to here of Isaiah 53. Maybe I'll come back to it if there's more to it than what you say. So, yeah. Okay. Let's see. What else did you say? 2,000 years of history. See Gary Haberman's top expert on the subject. Okay, Kevin Evans, I can take a look at that after. And see, there's just so many different things have been done about Jesus over the years, right? So in Christianity, I mean, it's a huge topic. We can only cover so much in a couple hours here. J-Spot says, TV show The State has a funny skirt wearing, they blend tea. I don't know what you're talking about, J-Spot. Sorry, man. I don't know. Yeah. Rick Sanchez Jr., you think he used the wine trick to get laid? Maybe. I don't know. Vito says, base Trev. Thank you, Vito. Remember when? Okay, yeah. Okay, Grizzly doesn't want to talk about Jesus for some reason on Christmas. I don't know. Okay, Grizzly, you say so. That's cool. What else we got here? Vito, second coming predictions. Yeah. Now, I just think that that's part of the fanaticism about Christianity and that whole thing. I don't think that there's going to be a second coming or anything like this or any of that stuff, especially not the way the world is going. It seems to be moving completely away from that for sure. Okay. So read the last sentence of the book of Revelation. It's not a sad story. Yeah, so I read it there, Crofcom, so you got it. Okay, Rick Sanchez Jr., like Psalms 23, 1 to 64. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Oh, that's great. Yeah, awesome one for sure. Rick, awesome verse for sure. Okay, let's see. Fallen under, Christ is Lord. And a child shall lead them. Let's see. HFG. Vince, Jesus Christ was the Son of living God who paid my penalty with his blood on Calvary and is my Savior. So that's nice from Vince. Let's see. What else you guys got here? MGM Lioness says Jesus is just all right with me. C. Benny says Jesus was a flat earther. So that's a good thing to bring up. The Genesis creation story. So Old Testament, Genesis 1, the beginning of it is the creation story. Yeah. So, and the earth being immovable, the earth being flat, and the firmament. So Genesis 1:16, and God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. So the two great lights. God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also, and God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth and to rule over the day and over the night and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. Yeah. Yeah, so, and that's true that the Bible... Okay, so this is one knock I have against churches right now. A lot of churches are not teaching flat earth at all. Most of them are like, oh, no, that's not whatever. They probably should be. If you are a real Christian, I think you should at least look at flat earth, or you should at least investigate the possibility that there is no curvature and that the earth is flat. I think that it's part of Christianity in my mind. That you should research that, you should figure that out, and that the earth is immovable and that it doesn't spin beneath your feet at all. That should be, see, this is one of my big knocks against institutionalized religion right now. That should be a fundamental investigation as part of being somebody who believes, who follows the Bible, who is Christian, or who wants to research Christianity. I think that there should not be any church out there that does not at least bring up the understanding or possibility that the earth is not curved, that it's not a spinning space ball, a water ball, and that it is immovable, and that the greater lights, the sun and the moon, are lights according to the Bible, and they revolve around us. And you can't walk on them, either of them, because they're in the firmament. Firm and firmament, so you cannot go through them. So, yeah, but they kind of have cucked in a lot of ways to, that is to say, that they've cucked to say that you can, okay, we're still going to follow the book, but yet we're going to appease and, go with NASA too. Right? The two are completely on opposite sides. They are completely against each other. You might as well have Jesus on one side, and it's like the arm wrestling guys, and the devil on the other side, and they're arm wrestling, right? You got they're arm wrestling, and that's what it is. So with Jesus being a flat earther, with Christians believing and thinking, not just believing, but thinking that the earth does not move beneath your feet. I mean, and it's pretty simple to test out too. Why don't you, wherever you guys are, why don't you try yelling at the ground underneath your feet and tell it to move and see if you can get it to move. Just do this experiment, okay? It's not too fanatical or crazy. Just look at the ground and yell at the ground. It's like Happy Gilmore where he tells the ball to get in the hole, right? He yells at the ball to get in the hole. Yell at the ground and tell the ground under your feet to spin, because it's supposed to be spinning at like 1,000 miles an hour at the equator. So yell at the ground as loud as you can. It's an experiment. Do it on Christmas. Okay, do it on the 25th. Do it on Christmas. I want you to yell at the ground. This is my request of you. Yell at the earth beneath your feet, yell at the ground, and tell it to spin, and see if it starts spinning for you. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Just give at her. It's Christmas Day. Get in the spirit. Yell at the ground and tell the ground to start spinning. Okay, and see if it spins at a 1,000 whatever it's supposed to spin at where you're located exactly. Okay, so go do that. So yeah, absolutely. The creation story in Genesis is pretty specific. There's things in real life that don't coincide with it, and that's what I'm going to say about that. So you could look at a lot of the NASA stuff and all that as a control system of now, which is why I call it a religion, a current religion, which is scientism, which is about, going through the firmament, going through the atmosphere, being able to do all that, and that being legit. So that's up to you. But like I said, yell at the ground as much as you want. Tell the ground to start spinning and see if it complies. See if it complies. Just yell at the ground. Maybe I'll do it with you guys. Let me grab the camera. We're just going to point at the ground, and we're going to yell at the ground and tell it to start spinning. And let's see if it works. Okay? You're supposed to spin, damn it. Start spinning. Spin. Right now. I'm on stream. Spin. I don't know, guys. It doesn't look like it's spinning to me. It looks like it's immovable. It looks like the Bible might be right. It looks like it's not moving at all. Okay. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on from yelling at the ground. So that's okay. But yes, Jesus was a flat earther. The Bible is flat earth. The churches should be flat earth, but they're, I don't want to. Don't get me going on that. Anyway, you don't need a church to practice your spirituality. In fact, it may confine and reduce your spirituality, depending. It might just try to control you even more, depending. Okay, what did we get here? Crofcom asked the question and wanted us to read a passage. I want him to read the last sentence of Revelation. I read it now, Crofcom. The last sentence of Revelation as, the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ be with you all. Amen. The end. Yeah, okay, so there you go. If you missed it before. Let's see. God the Father equals the programmer, which is fallen under. Yeah, basically, God the Father or the creator of Earth realm, which you find yourself in. The creator of the earth. Immovable, the creator of the two lights, and all the other stars, but the moon, the sun, the two lights, right? The greater light for the day, lesser light, the night light, the moon for the night, revolve around us. That's the creation story of Genesis. Yeah, that's right. Which is not compatible with NASA and the other stuff. So you kind of have to make a choice there. You kind of have to say, I'm down with scientism and NASA. They're gods. They're Apollo and they're Artemis and they're, all the other, missions and stuff. That's my God. Or I'm going to worship that through, technology or something, or wearing NASA shirts. Sometimes when I walk around outside, I see people with NASA shirts on. I just give them the side eye. I just kind of look at them like this. Just kind of look at them. I don't say anything to them. I'm not going to get into an argument or a fight, but I'm just going to... Okay. Anyway, they're not compatible. That's what I'm saying. They're not compatible. All right. Let's see. Okay. I'm just going through your guys' comments, seeing what you guys had to say, and that. Angel asks a good question. Angel says, Trev, do you think that Earth is hell? Do you think that we're all in hell right now? Angel, no, I don't think that we're in hell. I think that we're in an in-between realm that has duality, that has both darkness and light. It has good people like us, and it has dark people that that want to power broke, or they want to, get more for themselves, less for everybody else, and so that's what it is. So it has, it has a mixture of good people and bad people. Maybe it's halfway between heaven and hell. I don't know. Are there realities beneath us that are more hellacious than ours, like are worse than ours? Is there like a screening mechanism that when you die and you go into the light, that you have a life review done, and it's decided if you should rise up to a further plane of existence, or if you have to go down even further than Earth realm, if there's a realm below Earth that's even more, worse off than Earth is, and maybe based on your behavior, you'll fit in with one or the other. And if you're rising in consciousness and you're becoming an even better person and more enlightened and kinder, maybe you get along better in higher realms of reality, so you can rise above, and you'll be okay to put in one of the higher realms of being. And maybe in the life review, if you're not any good, then and you're really, really even bad for Earth, maybe you need to go to a realm that's even worse, that you will be more, similar to the beings in an even lesser reality, maybe. So maybe in your life review, depending on how you did, you could either rise up to a higher plane of existence or a lower, or maybe reincarnate back on Earth again if you're in the middle, something like that. But no, I don't think that Earth is hell or Earth is that bad or anything. You just have to try your best. Have gratitude for what you do have. Love those around you. Tell them you love them as much as you can. And, spread peace and love, and try to be kind, try to be nice. There's nothing wrong with getting upset and all that stuff, but maybe just do it by yourself, and with others, try to be courteous to others as best as you can. So, that's that. Okay. Yeah. Fallen Under, hell is the complete removal of God. Fallen Under says. Let's see, what else did you guys say here? Crofcom, lots of comments. MGM Lioness as well. So that's good. Crofcom wants more of Revelation. You want to read more Revelations? Okay. That's fine. I'm good. Okay. Yeah, well, if the Earth is a created realm, then it would have been created by a creator, so that's what it is. So, so if you view Earth as a created realm, if you see intelligent design in this life, then it's likely that it was created by something or a higher being, something or someone, an architect or a creator. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's see. Yeah, they are. That's true. People's belief systems are very important to them and very, personal. So we don't want to stamp on anyone's beliefs. That's up to them. And thank you guys all for so many comments. I do appreciate that. It sounds like you guys have a lot to say about this topic, so that's really, really good. I thought about if we could do this in one part, or maybe if we have to do multiple parts, but I think we did a pretty good job to answer the first question, which is Jesus Christ a historical person? Yes, but maybe the mythos surrounding him built up by his followers. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. I'm not sure what you're talking about there, Darcy of London. I'm not sure what you're talking about there. Yeah. Yeah, there's. I'm not sure what you're getting at there either, London. There, I'm not sure exactly what you're getting at there, but I'm not a literalist with regards to the Bible either, and the way that it views things as far as ethics and morals are concerned. Like for abortion too, because abortion is one that's always a hot topic, right? And whether or not abortion's okay, I typically see abortion as wrong. And I don't support abortion. I don't think it should be legal. But there are cases, like in rape cases, where I think abortion, I don't view it as a bad thing. Like if somebody, so for example, if somebody rapes, if a guy, let's say a felon rapes, a girl after he gets out or something, and she happens to get pregnant, should an abortion be allowed given that set of circumstances? I think so. I think that's ethical to allow it in that case. But a lot of people, with regards to abortion, are absolutely never under any circumstances. No, it's not okay. God's plan, God's will, all that stuff. I'll give you my understanding of God as well, too, because I think that's probably useful. I look at God as the creator of the realm. I don't think that God really gets involved in the inner, workings of man. Mostly. So, there's the line from Jesus, Father, why hast thou forsaken me? I don't think that the Father or the Creator really gets involved with the inner workings of relationships between people. I don't believe that. I don't believe in karma, and I don't believe in the Father being involved in people's minutia of their lives. So people want to pray for a new bike or something, or they want to pray for, I don't know, a new action figure or something, a new computer, a new video game, whatever. They want to win the lottery. They want to pray to win the lottery. I personally don't think that makes any sense, and I don't think that that the creator of the video game that we exist in gets involved in the minutia of our lives. I just don't see that. I don't think that's true. Even to the point where, for saving people and stuff like this, I don't think so. I think that the creator of Earth basically has created the Earth and the people and everything in it, and that's it. And what you do with it is free will. It's up to you, right? Whatever you do with it is up to you. So that's my take on that. That's where I stand on that. I don't think that God gets involved in whether or not you get a new PlayStation for Christmas. If your mom got you a new PlayStation or not, whatever the number is now. They're at 5. Is it 5 now? Something like that. So, no, I don't think so. Let's see. I just don't think that God gets involved with the inner workings of a person's life. I think that based on free will and the run of the simulation or the run of the system and all the variables involved, things happen. But I don't think, you can pray if you want to and put the energy out there into the ether if you want to, but I don't think that the creator is going to get involved in the minutia of people's lives. So if somebody lives in a place like right now, Ukraine, let's say, and they're very virtuous and they pray, don't let me get hit by an artillery shell today or something, and I don't see it. There's stuff blowing up all over the place. If you're there at that time, and unfortunately you're there, it's what it is. I don't see a protectionary force coming in to force field you to stop shrapnel or whatever else from collapsing on you or hitting you or whatever. I'm sorry, I don't see it. I don't see it that way. Okay. So that's my take on that. Vade, some of your comments I don't understand what you're asking. I don't get it. Yeah. Okay. So, you're saying that you think that Jesus was real and that the resurrection actually happened. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's up to you. White Zombie asks if you think Santa Claus is real. we already addressed that at the beginning of the video, and then he says people will believe anything. So we already addressed that at the beginning of the video. Well, it's easier to convince people of something that they want to believe than something they don't. If you're telling people something they don't want to know, they usually will find a way not to believe it, or they'll just ignore you, right? They'll pretend like they're listening, and then they'll just ignore you afterwards. But it's easier to convince someone of something they want to believe in. If it's a negative thing, it's pretty difficult to get people to accept negative details. So Okay. Yeah. So I'm just looking at your guys. Any other messages? Yeah. Yeah, nice, Javier. I like that one. That's a good one. Okay. Kibo says it is appointed to man once to die, then judgment. I guess that's true. I agree with that, Kevo. I think so. Yep. So that's what it is. JMC Clinton 8 says, I'm not for censorship, and I think flat earthers should have a place to express themselves, but I totally disagree with them. That's fine. Yes, I agree. I don't think they should be censored either. I think they should have their deal and be allowed to do their stuff, but they're not. Okay, let's see. How does the sun set? So London, Dan's Qua says, how does the sun set if the earth is flat? So it doesn't set, it just moves further out of your perspective, your view, the limit of your view. It just moves out of the limit of your view, according to Genesis. So if you go with the Bible, if you go with Genesis, you basically have a firmament, you have the sun and the moon in the firmament, and it's something like this, and the sun and the moon just go around like this. And over the seasons, they their revolve, or maybe I shouldn't say, should I say revolve? Their track, changes, right? So basically, is what it is. So when you see the moon appear, or you see the sun appear to set or go over a curve, what's actually happening is the sun is moving further away from you. And if you get a zoom camera, you'll be able to bring the sun back in view. If you get a zoom camera and you zoom in on it, you'll be able to bring it back. So what's happened is it's actually gone out of your view. Same with ships at sea. So when you have ships at sea and they disappear, if you get a zoom camera and you zoom in on them, they'll come back. You'll be able to see them again. So what happens is at the limit of your vision, as far as you can see, there's a pinch at the end. So it narrows to a pinch. If you zoom in, you'll be able to bring it back. You just have to zoom on it. So your vision has a limit for how far it can see, and at the limit, things appear to curve or go down, but they're not, because if you zoom in on it, like with a telescope or a zoom camera, you'll be able to bring those objects back. So it's a pinch at the end. Basically, it just goes to, just like a long hallway as well. Things appear to converge for a really long hallway, or if you look at a series of a really long series of lights or electrical, what do you call those, that hold the electrical cable to go through. If you look at a long series of them, they always appear to pinch at the limit of how far you can see. So instead of a ship going over a curve, or the sun going over and setting over around the curvature, what's actually happening is it's moving out of your field of vision. And if you zoom in on it, it will come back. So if you look on Google, they'll say a proof of the earth being curved is that when something goes beyond the extent of your vision, how far you can see, it appears to go down and away from you. That's actually an illusion. If you zoom in on it, you'll be able to bring it back if you have a good zoom camera. So yeah, so that's that. So anyway, so it doesn't set, it just moves out of your, the limit of your vision is what happens. And it's not infinite. Light is also not infinite. It doesn't go forever either. So yeah. So that's the Genesis version of that. So yeah. What else did you do say here? My voice, we're almost at 2 hours, so my voice is starting to go. So let's do a few more, and then we'll wrap up pretty soon here, guys, about the holiday stream, the Christmas stream for Jesus, the one they call Christ. Okay. So let's see. Yep, I've seen the streams, Crofcom, of the Earth from supposedly beyond the firmament. Yeah, I've seen them. Yeah, so they're not compatible with the Bible. So either they're fake or the Bible's incorrect, whichever one you want to go with. Say they're fake, they're not real, they're virtually created, or the Bible's wrong, Genesis is wrong as far as that goes. So yeah. Yeah, and Earth is a sphere. Okay, let's see. What other stuff did you guys say? Brian Vaggi said the name of Jesus is the only name in the world used as a curse word. Ah, I never thought of that. John 7:7, the world cannot hate you, but it hates me because I testify of it that its works are evil. Nice. So that's from Brian Vaggi. That's true that the name is a curse word. Yeah, to use the name as a curse word. I do it too. Like when if I get hurt or something, or if I see something really crazy, I'll say Jesus. Like wow. It's all, yeah. I use the name as like a wow or something. Like crazy. So Deuteronomy. Okay, let's see. I just want to see, like, I want to grab most of your guys' good comments if you guys sent through good ones. Operation Fishbowl, yeah, yeah. Try to crack the firmament, try to blow up the firmament, yeah. So is it, let's see. Okay. All right, well, I think we covered pretty much everything. So I want to thank you guys for watching. What did you say, Crofcom? Flat Earth is based on old Jewish 10 Ankh, etc. You mean like prior to the Bible, even before? Well, a lot of older religions and texts and peoples viewed the Earth as stationary and flat. Yeah, geocentrism is true, and it's kind of changed. It's changed to heliocentrism now, but yeah, that's what they did. So yep. Okay, let's see. All right, dudes. Well, I think that's most of what we want to do. Let's see. Zane, I'm not going to answer your question as far as that goes. All right. Yep. All right. Well, I think that's it, dudes. I think we got it. I think that's everything. So, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Yeah. What'd you say, Crofcom? Stanley Kubrick and the moon landing? Well, actually, he did consult on it. Whether you think it was real or not, yeah, he did consult on it, and for like the filming of it, for the the filming of it, whether you think it happened or it didn't, he was a consultant for the recording of it, so for the video aspect of it. Well, it figures if you're going to do something like that, you're going to get, one way or another, you're going to get the best filmmaker in the world, or one of them anyway, to film it if it's something, that important like that. So, yeah. Let me see. Yeah. All right, dudes. Well, I want to thank you guys for watching. That's all I got for you guys on the topic for today. And we'll do another stream maybe. Okay, well, next Sunday's Christmas Day, so we'll probably not. I probably won't do one with you guys Christmas Day, but maybe. But I will have other Walking Dead streams to come for you guys again here soon. I got different topics written down to do. I just wanted to do this one because I get asked from time to time. That way I can kind of point to this video if we're in a stream or something and somebody wants to discuss Jesus and historicity, whether or not he exists as an actual person, my thoughts on Christianity specifically, and so we can point to this video if people want to kind of look at it and see my take on it. So that's what it is. So, well, I understand both here fallen under. I understand both geocentrism and heliocentrism, and I know pretty much everything about them. I know most of the speeds and everything that things are, traveling at in heliocentrism. And I like geocentrism better. I do think the Earth is a created realm. It probably was something like the creation story in Genesis, something like that. Whether or not it's exactly like that or like the order of things could be different, something like that could be. But I am more of a fan of Genesis and the creation story than I am of Hawking Big Bang. I'm not a fan of Hawking. I'm not a fan of Big Bang. I'm not a fan of Einstein. I'm not a fan of scientism. I'm not a fan of NASA. I'm not a fan of Elon, right? Elon's big right now, right? Noel. I'm going to say it backwards. Noel. People love Elon, right? They're all like, oh, he's going to fix Twitter. He's going to do all this stuff. He's doing SpaceX. So he's doing SpaceX and all that stuff. I'm not into it, dude. I'm not a fan. I don't look at, people like that as heroes. Like, oh, he's going to save everybody from Twitter censorship. All these people are like, he's going to save everyone from Twitter censorship. You got to keep in mind, he's doing the SpaceX stuff. So you're kind of looking, I think, to the wrong person if you're thinking that he's going to save you from censorship. It's not going to happen. So, yeah. So I understand both. Again, I'm not evangelizing as far as geocentrism or heliocentrism. That's up to you which one you like better. I think it's advantageous to learn them both, and then you can see what you think, and you can see which ones you like better. If you like scientism, which is just basically what? Like the Darwinistic approach, natural selection, evolution, races, different races of people, preservation of certain races, which is what Darwin was big on, right, in his book, Origin of the Species and Preservation of Favored Races, racist, all that stuff. If you're into that, determinism and, what else is part of scientism? I don't know, maybe more recently with, illness and, everything that's attached, everything involved in that, heliocentrism, evolution, Big Bang, creation, history, moon landings, all that stuff. If you're into all that stuff, you like the heliocentrism stuff, that's fine, no problem. I've gone through all of it. I've looked through all of it. I'm not a fan of any of it. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I don't buy it. I'm not into it. I view Darwinism as like a kind of a Jewish. It's sort of Jewish in what it is. It's like a Torah Talmudic, looking at people as beasts, referring to people as beasts and animals. It's like putting into science officially the beastification or the animalification. I made those words up, of people, right? So it's so kind of the Jewish attitude as we're getting into Christianity here, and kind of the Torah, and that's a sentiment that's been in Judaism for a long time, which is that people are goyim. The goy are like animals. They're like beasts, right? They're not like us. Our spirit is higher than theirs. The goyim are closer to beasts than they are to man. And we as Jews are above them. Our spirit is pure, more pure than theirs. It's somehow more clean or more purified than the goy. The goyim are beasts. They're animals. So I view Darwinism as a Jewish, Talmudic or Torah-based scientism push down to sort of view the regular people as beasts, the goyim as beasts, and they officially put it into our sciences, 100%. So that they didn't even just they still call it a theory of evolution, but it's really just putting it into our UNESCO system is really the way I view it as what they did. Darwinism, communism, Marxism, and Nietzsche's stuff as well too. A lot of those have Jewish foundations, and certain texts will refer to them as mind weapons. So evolution, mind weapon, I'll add to it heliocentrism, because the text that refers to them as Jewish creations that we won't talk about because we're not supposed to. But I'll add heliocentrism as part of the current kind of ruling elite structure. Divine right to rule for them, but you are a beast. You're a monkey. So that's basically what it is, right? So it's creationism for the select, okay? And for the people, it's your beasts, your animals. So that's the way I look at that. So I don't like any of the scientism stuff at all. I like real science, actual science stuff that's provable. I don't like evolution as far as the Jewish Talmudic and Torah-based belief set that I am certain that it came out of. And I don't like heliocentrism mostly, and I don't like almost all parts of it, of any of it. I view it all as crap, basically. So yeah, I don't like any of it. I like creation. How old is Earth? Don't know. Maybe like 10,000, 20,000 years old, something like that. Don't know. But that's up to you what you want to research and what you want to think as far as that goes. Yeah. Zane, everybody is part of the Matrix. So Zane asks, are we part of the Matrix? Are you part of the Matrix? We're all part of the Matrix if we exist within it, whether we like it or not. We're pretty much all part of it. Like even for me, I work for an S&P 500 company during the day. So even that's kind of like, that's part of the matrix if you work for a major company. No matter which major company you work for, you're part of the matrix, because if you look at who owns the majority of stock in most companies, they're almost all owned by Vanguard BlackRock. So Vanguard BlackRock are like the umbrella corporation. So it's sort of like, you might ask somebody like, oh, are you Pepsi or are you Coke? Which one you like? But if you look at their owner basis for both PepsiCo and Coca-Cola, most of the key ownership for almost every major company is Vanguard BlackRock. And I think that they own even a part of each other too. There's like a percentage of Vanguard that owns BlackRock, and there's a percentage of BlackRock that owns Vanguard. It's cyclical. And they own like everything. Pretty much almost everything. They own like a majority share, more than anybody else, of like every company, of the S&P 500. I don't know. There might be some in the S&P 500 that they don't, maybe. But even the company I work for, I looked it up. I was like, oh, yeah, it's Umbrella. Because that's what it is. Vanguard BlackRock have basically bought up almost everything. Pretty much. So all the major companies are all part of the matrix. They're all bought in. YouTube, even. We're on YouTube right now. It's pretty difficult not to be part of the matrix. I don't know how you couldn't. To some degree. You'd have to build all your own systems and be completely independent from it. You'd have to be completely separate. That's pretty difficult to do. So, I've never heard of him, but, for me, like, as far as the matrix understanding goes and everything, I go with Alan Watt, whose website is cuttingthroughthematrix.com, and he died just, I want to say 2 years ago. During the COVID stuff, he died. So he dedicated his life pretty much to talking about the system and explaining it and everything. He just died a couple years ago. So cuttingthroughthematrix.com is his site, and he did some really great work as far as that goes. But yeah, almost everything is part of the matrix. Even the Bible, who prints the Bible, owns the rights to the Bible. Who is it that owns the rights to the Bible? Let me see. The rights. So it's pretty difficult to not have something that is public domain. Okay, let's see. Publishing rights, the Crown does. Yeah. Perpetual copyright. The Crown owns the King James Bible. So that's what it is. So yeah, so it's pretty difficult to not be in the matrix. It's pretty difficult to not be, because when you have investment, these giant aggregation, I'll call them like an aggregation firm, where asset management is what they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be like asset management companies like Vanguard, BlackRock. And then when you work for major corporations, your pension, the amount that you put in from your pension match, most of the funds are Vanguard, BlackRock. So as you're buying those funds, the people that own Vanguard, BlackRock essentially own a monopoly on basically every company out there. So you could go to work and say, I work for this corporation, let's say TELUS, or I work for that corporation, which might be, I don't know, let's say you work for TELUS or you work for Rogers, which is another provider here in Canada, for example, and you view them as different. But if they're not private, you look at their owner sheet, and Vanguard, BlackRock own them both. So it's pretty difficult to get away from the matrix, It's like Google, YouTube. YouTube at one time was independent. It gets bought out by Google. So it's pretty difficult to get away from the matrix, man. It's almost impossible. So, yeah. And there's JMC brought up the World Economic Forum as well. Yeah, if you look at the ownership for the shareholders for almost every major company, look for Vanguard, BlackRock, and there's also State Street. But basically, that's almost a full monopoly if you look at them as single organizations that own almost everything else. So it's pretty difficult not to be engaged in the matrix in some way. Very difficult. So let's see. Oh, Rick Sanchez Jr. asked if Alan Watt got suicided. Maybe. He might have. Because that was right at the time when the Canadian government was really like cracking down on everybody and everything. He might have gotten John McAfee. I'm not sure. That's what happened to John McAfee, is that, and I think they blew up one of his penthouses or something. He said he had something, or say he was playing hardball with him, and I think, yeah. So that's sad. But anyway, That's not the topic of this stream, so we'll try to keep it on topic. Yeah. So, but it's true, if you look at Jesus too, that's something that just, it occurs if you're a disruptive force and you're too disruptive to the system, then that's what can happen. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we'll wrap up. We're over 2 hours here, dudes. 2 hours, so we're wrapping up. Yeah, if you're too disruptive, then that's what can happen. That's what happened to Jesus, so what do you want to say? And I'll leave you guys with this one here. Does anyone know... So Jesus was killed with the spear of destiny. I heard there's a rumor. Do you guys know this one? Does anyone in the stream know who has the spear of destiny? Okay. So the spear of destiny was the spear that is said to have pierced Jesus and have made him bleed out, have killed Jesus. Do any of you guys know who currently has the spear of destiny? And then we'll wrap up. It's a test for you. I'm not going to tell you. Okay, it's just a rumor. All right, I'm not saying for sure that the person does. But do any of you guys know who currently possesses the spear of destiny? Do you know? No, it's not Jack Black. No, Kevo. No. Yeah, so anybody? No, it's not Indiana Jones. No. Spear of destiny. Who has the spear of destiny right now? There's somebody out there. They're very prominent. Can you get it? I don't think we have enough people. We only got 50 people. No one's going to get it. It's more fun if I don't tell you. Who has the spear of destiny? Nobody? Okay. Nobody. That's nobody. All right. I'll leave it with you then. I'm not going to tell you. You figure it out. Somebody, next time we do a stream, we'll see. No, Elon Musk doesn't have it, but you're a little close. That's not what I heard. No, he doesn't have it. You're a little close. No, it's not Madonna. No. Okay, I'll give you one more minute. Can you guess who has the spear of destiny? Let me see if I find a picture here. Spear of destiny. Can you guess who has it? So the spear of destiny is the holy lance that is said to have pierced Jesus before he died. The spear of destiny. So it's the spear that pierced him after crucifixion before he died. Who has the spear of destiny? No, nobody. No, it's not Jeff Bezos. Nope. Yeah, I know that one, Sean Picard. I know about Admiral Byrd. I'm not a fan at all. I'm not a fan whatsoever. Oh, you're pretty close. You're pretty close, JMC Clinton. You're pretty close. You're getting closer. You're getting warmer. No, it's not Gil Darcy. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. It's not him. No, everybody's like Gil. No, it's not. No, none of them. No, you're getting warmer. You're getting warmer. Oh, this is too much fun. I'm not going to tell you. You're going to have to tell me. I'm not going to tell you. No, you're getting close, but it's not the Mosquito Man. No, he doesn't have it. No, it's not Scott Baio either. No, it's not. That's it. No, he doesn't. No, it's not him. You're wrong. No, well, actually, I think he is Jewish, actually, yeah. I think so. Part, anyway. He's part Jewish. You're getting closer. No, he doesn't have it. No, it's not Elton John. No, it's not the Pope. No. Yeah, well, you guys got pretty close, but you didn't get it. Nobody got it. No, of course not. Why the hell would she want it? No. Who has the Spear of Destiny? No, he doesn't. Of course not. No, they don't. No, it's not them. You guys are getting closer. You're getting closer and closer. No. Oh, we got it. Javier Javier kills it. He got it. That's what I heard. I heard that he's got the spear, apparently. Which actually fits and makes sense based on his family and his location. That's what I heard. He got it. Yeah, that's it. It's your eats the bugs man. Yeah, that's what it is, Javier. That's the rumor. I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know if he actually does, but it might be true because if you look at his family history, would be right in that area. So it's very plausible. So sometimes you hear a rumor and you just think, oh, it's just whatever. But actually, I think he probably does, actually, because of his lineage. That's why. Anyway, let's not get into that. But I'm so sure you killed it with that one. Javier killed it, dudes. He killed it. He got it. Okay, he's the star for tonight. Yeah, that's right. He does. Yeah. Yeah. The Spear of Destiny. That's the rumor anyway. I don't know if it's true or not. Maybe not. But that's what I heard. I don't know. Yeah, I think that's it though. Yeah. Okay, dudes. Well, it figures. He's like, of course, figures, right? Obviously. Yeah. No, it's not. Javier already got it. Look at Javier's. Yeah, that's it. Javier say, let's go. Yeah, you got it, Javier. All right, he's the star for tonight's show. He got it, dudes. Okay. That's it for this stream, guys. I hope you liked it. Have yourselves a very, very Merry Christmas, guys. And really, really enjoy yourselves this year. So thank you guys so much for joining. Want to appreciate it. Want to say thank you very much. And that's it. God bless you all. Happy Christmas, Merry Christmas. And I'll see you guys again soon. It's Trev saying peace. Have yourselves a good night, guys. Yeah.